Hey, Black Belt Reads. So I recently did my 10 favorite books of all time. I mentioned that I had like 20 books out here on the table and narrowed it down to 10. That list could change all the time, any day. It's always changing. It's hard to pick your 10 favorites. I had a couple people say what were the others that you had that almost made the list, so I thought that's a good idea. So these are the 10 books that there's actually more than 10 here, I think, but these are the books that I had kind of laid out that I was debating and almost made it on the list. Some of these, they may go into my top 10 if you'd ask me a different day. So let's jump right in. A couple of people saw that number one on my list was Cormac McCarthy. It was Suttree. It's my favorite book of all time. I've talked about it at length on this channel. What's my next favorite McCarthy book? That was tough. You've got Blood Meridian, The Road. I mean, these are fantastic books for different reasons. But if I have to be honest with myself, for me personally, my next choice would be All the Pretty Horses. This book blew me away when I read it. It was so beautiful. It was such a strange journey reading all of McCarthy's books in order. So I just read Blood Meridian and then to go and read his next published work, All the Pretty Horses. Man, it was so different. Beautifully written, beautiful, sad, nostalgic feeling story. The whole trilogy, the Border trilogy, is fantastic. My favorite is All the Pretty Horses. I don't really remember why I loved it so much. I cannot wait to get back and reread this book again. One of the reasons why it didn't quite make the list is because I knew Suttree was my favorite book, and I've only read this book once. Um, I absolutely loved it though when I read it. All right, so speaking of only reading books once, this is a book I've read a couple of times, and I didn't have a ton of classics on my list because I don't know, I guess I was just feeling very modern. But To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee, a classic book that they made us read in high school, right? I read this again recently as an adult and absolutely loved it. It's beautiful. One of the best books I've ever read, hands down. I enjoyed my time with it so much. It's beautifully written. It's funny. It's sad. It made me laugh. It made me damn near cry. It's a absolutely one of the best books of all time. I had a lot of horror on my list. It made me realize, I already knew this, but it made me realize again that horror really is my favorite genre. It's just something I always go back to. It's my favorite type of movie to watch, and turns out it's my favorite type of book to read too. So one horror book that just barely did not make the list. Swan Song by Robert McCammon. I had a couple people actually mention this as one of their favorite books of all time, and it's funny. I told them I had this in my pile. Like it almost made the list. Why didn't it make the list? Well, I've only read it once, and it was a couple years ago, I believe, and so pretty recently. And I remember reading it, and this book is like 1,000 pages long, but it did not feel like 1,000 pages. I actually absolutely tore through this thing. I loved it. I thought it was so well done. It made me think of The Stand. It gets compared to The Stand a lot, and rightfully so. It has a lot of similarities. I'm not sure which one I like better. It seems like some people will tell you they like this book better than The Stand, and some people are like, "Are you kidding me? The Stand is one of the best books ever." So I don't know. That's tough for me. I actually have The Stand here as well. It was on my list. I had a couple of Stephen King books on the list. It was tough to pick those two. I ended up with It and a book from the Dark Tower. I talked about Gunslinger almost made the list. Well, The Stand is right up there. I mean, again, this is one of the best books ever, really. It's some would consider it King's masterpiece. While we're talking about King, I mean, I could put so many King books on the list, right? He already had two books on the list. Come on. I could have put Pet Cemetery, The Shining, Talisman. I love those books a lot. One that just almost made the list. I mean, Any other day, it might be on my top 10 list, was Revival. Revival is one of my favorite King books. I love this book so much. I feel like this is the underdog that people don't talk about as much, but Revival blew me away when I first read it. I've read probably about half of Stephen King's books, and I kind of jumped around a little bit, but I'm trying to work through them in order now. The one that I jumped ahead to read was Revival when it came out. Um, Absolutely loved it. It blew me away. It solidified again why I love King so much. Just sit down with this book and time just disappears. I love the story, the whole attic thing, and the revival, the Frankenstein type of thing. I love that stuff. And one of the most bleak and messed up endings of any book ever, much less a King book. It's like one of the most devastating endings of all time. All right, change of pace, get away from the horror a little bit. One book that's way up there for me, it almost made the list. Talented Mr. Ripley. Have you ever wanted to be someone else? It's wanted it so bad, like someone else's life. You just wish that you had their life. You wish you had their money, their house, their girlfriend, their clothes. I love this book. It's the only one I've read from Patricia Highsmith. I have a few of her other books. I haven't got to them yet. It's a shame because I absolutely loved this book when I read it. It's been a long time since I've read it. Man, it really, really a special book here. All the books I've got in this video, all the books I've talked about, there's one book that was so close to making it on the list. I really debated on that number 10 spot there. I ended up putting Westlake Soul on the video. I don't know. I was just feeling it that day. Any other day, it might have been As I Lay Dying by William Faulkner. It's crazy that it didn't make my list. This is one of my favorite books of all time. Like this book, I read it in high school and it went way over my head. I didn't get it. I didn't like it. It's too tough. I feel like making teenagers read this is such a horrible disservice to them. You really need to read this as an adult. And at least I did. I was too dumb as a teenager. As an adult, I went back, reread it again. It blew me away. Like I fell hard in love with this novel. And yeah, Faulkner, he's just got such a strange style. It was a very difficult novel to read even as an adult. But once you're done and think back on it, it's like it blew me away. I went down the rabbit hole, all the theories, all the themes, everything about this book. I loved it. I'm really actually surprised it didn't make my top 10. Speaking of books I read as a kid, if you would have asked me whenever I was a teenager what my favorite book is, I don't know what I would have told you. But I might have said The World According to Garp. This is one of the very first like adult literary books I read as a like a preteen. I don't know how old I was when I first read this, maybe like 12 or something. Probably a little bit too young for some of the things happening in this book that really seared into my brain. But I've read several John Irving books since then. He's just kind of a go-to for me. I love just a good, cozy John Irving novel. The first one I ever read holds a special place in my heart. The World According to Garp. Okay, one of the most recent books that I've read almost made the list, but technically, I felt like it was like a short story, maybe a novella. The Death of Ivan Ilyich by Leo Tolstoy. This blew me away when I read it. It was one of my favorite books that I read last year. I don't think I even put it on my favorite books video that I did last year because it's like a novella. I don't know. I had a couple of people say they love The Time Machine. The Time Machine should definitely deserve to be on your list. I know. But I think I want to do like a favorite novellas or short stories of all time. And I'm not sure if The Death of Ivan Ilyich goes on that list. I think it's only like 100 pages long. So, but I loved it. It blew me away. It gave me the most visceral reaction of anything I read last year. A book that I've mentioned a couple times on the channel. It's funny. I've also mentioned several times that I'm not really big on thrillers. Every time I read a thriller, I always feel like empty inside after I'm done reading them. But I think you would technically call this a thriller. It's kind of a horror thriller. Night Film by Marisha Pessl. I just loved this book, man. I don't know. I could not stop reading it. I could not put it down. It just kept me engaged the whole way. It's such a perfect, moody, rainy day book. It's actually raining outside right now. It's been raining here all day long. It's been raining for like 4 days in a row, actually. Uh, I just saw this on the shelf and grabbed it and just immediately thought that goes on my list. It didn't make the list, obviously, but I loved it. And again, it's got a really, really fantastic climax and ending. And it's got a really, really scary scene in the book that always stuck with me. If you've read it, you probably know what I'm talking about. If not, I highly recommend it. Check it out. It's a pretty thick book, but man, it goes so fast. It's really paced beautifully. All right, I don't know how many books that was. Probably more than 10. I just had a whole stack here, and there's some that I'd already put them back on the shelf, and I didn't bother to go grab them again. But another one that just, man, I can't believe it's not on the list. It barely did not make the list. Dracula by Bram Stoker. For the longest time, I would have told you this is my favorite horror book of all time. Maybe this and It. I read It, and I read Dracula when I was very young. Um, it, made the list, of course, but Dracula. Why did it not make the list? Probably because I've only read it once, and it's been a long time. I was probably like 16 or something when I read this. I don't know, but even at such a young age, I wasn't sure how I'd feel about it. I loved it. I remember the feeling of reading it and thinking, this is fantastic. This does not feel like a classic, boring, old, from the 1800s type of book. This was great. I loved it. And I really, really want to reread it, um, and see maybe if I reread it, maybe it breaks through that list again. I love vampires, always have, and I think a lot of that stems from reading this at such a young age. Dracula. All right, I could sit here all day and talk about books. Man, that was so tough to make that top 10 video, but this one was so easy because I didn't feel pressure. Those weren't in order in any way. I just grabbed the books and started talking about them. Man, that was a lot of fun. That last video, that was tough. Not this one. That was a breeze. I just picked up all these books, and I love talking about them so much. I wish I could go a little deeper in them, but I feel like the videos would be like an hour long. I don't think anybody wants to see that. So let me know if any of these books would have made your list. Very curious. I love hearing you guys in the comments of my last video telling me some of your favorite books. I read every single comments. There was like 50 comments. That was so fun. Thank you guys. I appreciate that a lot. And yeah, I'm working on a couple of big books right now. Hopefully these are going to be some of my favorite books of all time. I don't know yet. We'll see. See you then. Peace.